Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Project 3.4 in investigations in algebra. I'm using the Python tutor instead of idle in this demo just because I think that it's easier to read the text in the videos using Python tutor. But let's take a look at what it is that we're asked to do. So the question is 1296 a term in the arithmetic sequence whose first term is 4 and whose common difference is 17. Okay, so let's think about how we solve this problem. If we go back to, let's see what page that was, page 62. On page 62, we're given theorem 3.1, which basically says if the first term of our arithmetic sequence is A and the common difference is D, then the closed form is f of n equals A plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so this is what we're actually going to use to solve this. So if we think about this for a second, if 1296 is a term in the sequence, then we know that 1296 equals, what's our A? A is our first term in the sequence. That's a 4. Has to equal 4 plus some value n minus 1. We don't know what that n is yet. And a common difference of 17. So our D is 17. And actually, we're going to see we don't even have to know what that n is to be able to say if 1296 is in the sequence or not. But anyway, so far we know this. If 1296 is in the sequence, then this needs to be true, right? These need to be equal. So maybe even we could write it like this, because we're going to make this be our test. This is true or false. If this is true, then 1296 is in the sequence. But we don't know what n is, right? So we need to do a little bit better here. We can't. We're not done yet. So let's see what we can do without knowing n. Well, we know we can subtract 4 from both sides. That's an easy thing to do, right? So 1296 minus 4 has to be equal to n minus 1 times 17. Now let's just go ahead and just get n on one side all by itself. Let's see if we can divide by 17 both sides, right? So we say 1296 minus 4 divided by 17 has to equal n minus 1. So let's think about this for a second. We have an arithmetic sequence that starts with an integer, right? Starts with the number 4. Let's write out a few terms of our sequence. It starts with the number 4, right? And then we're going to add 17 each time. So 4 plus 17, that's 21. If we add another 17, that's 38. And we keep going, right? We keep adding an integer. So every term in that sequence is going to be an integer, right? So this n has to be an integer. And if you subtract 1 from an integer, you get another integer, right? So that means that this division has to equal an integer. It has to be an integer. Now, you know, in Python, if you use this division sign, you're going to get an integer anyway, unless you do something like this, right? But we can do something even a little bit trickier. Let's if we say 1296 minus 4 and find the remainder of this division. If the remainder of this division is 0, then that means that 17 divides into this difference some integer number of times, so that eventually, if we start with 4 and keep adding 17s, we'll eventually get up to 1296. Okay? Does that make sense? If that's not completely clear, you can try to back it up a little bit and think again. If we, because we're subtracting 4 and then dividing out by 17, that's kind of saying if we start with 4 and keep adding a bunch of 17s, we'll eventually get up to 1296. Okay, so make sure that's clear in your head, and then let's talk through how we make a function out of this in the next video.